Hey y'all, it's Alex from You Should Craft, and today we're going to do these pretty present ornaments. There are two different sizes, but this video will show you how to make the rectangular size of the ornament. So follow along for that. Make sure you subscribe to the You Should Craft channel and like this video, just so that you can stay up to date on all of the free crochet patterns and tutorials. Once you're done, you can hang them on your Christmas tree. You can use them as like gift toppers. There's a lot of cute things that you can do with these for the holidays. So the materials will be the same regardless of what size of ornament you're doing, whether the square or the rectangle. So you will need two different colors of worsted weight yarn. I'm using an acrylic from We Crochet called Brava. You'll need one color for the ribbon, so like the center ribbon and the bow, and then another color for like the present body, so kind of the wrapping paper color. So on the rectangle one, I've used a gray for my present color and kind of a teal for my bow color. And on the square one, I've used this like maroonish red color for the present and white for the bow. So whatever colors you want, you don't need a ton of it. You can see here I just have like a little scrap pile. You'll also need a 4mm crochet hook. This is a G hook from Furls. It's a Silver Odyssey. If you don't have a 4mm, then any similar sized hook will be fine too. Gauge is not super important for this project. So if you have like a 4.25 or a 3.75, those are fine, totally fine as well. You'll also need scissors and a tapestry needle. And then you'll need a little bit of polyfill or yarn scraps, just something to like fill your ornament. So your rectangle present ornament is created using two panels for the front and the back. I've already crocheted my first one, but I'll walk you through how to crochet your second one. Or I mean, it's my second one and your first one, but they're exactly the same. So you'll just repeat these same steps a second time when you make the back of yours. But you'll just need those two colors of yarn. So I'm using blue for my main like present color. So I'm going to do a slip knot, insert my hook, and I'll chain 16. So that's 16. Let me just quickly double count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 16. And now I'm going to single crochet. This is US terminology. So I'll single crochet into the second chain from my hook. So skip number 1 and I'll crochet into here. But I'm going to do the back bumps. This just makes it a little bit easier to crochet into when I'm crocheting the border. But it really won't matter which loop you use. So here's my first single crochet. To do a single crochet, you insert your hook, you yarn over, pull up a first loop, and then yarn over and pull through those last two loops. Insert hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through those last two loops. Insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the last two loops. So I'm just single crocheting in every stitch across, which will give me 15 single crochets in this row, and honestly in every single row in this pattern, because like I'm not changing it. I'm not like increasing or decreasing or anything. So I've got 2 stitches left. Now I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work, and then I'm single crocheting across. So again, that'll be 15 single crochets. Every row of this will have 16. You can see that my yarn is kind of stuck on the other side, so it's just like gradually pulling it closer. I just have this like very small scrap, so I've got my fingers crossed that it ends up being enough yarn. I probably should have measured it, but I did not. Oop, that one, the yarn split. Okay, so I'm almost done with row 2, and I'm going to do 4 rows of these single crochets with the blue yarn. It definitely does not look like I'm going to have enough. All right, so I'm on my very last stitch of row 4. I'm going to yarn over and pull up the first loop, but I'm going to stop and not finish because this is where I'm going to join my white yarn for my ribbon. So I just cross it over my hook and pull it through. And then I will chain 1 and turn and just keep crocheting with the white. I'm going to pull around well, first I'm going to tighten it up just by pulling these yarn tails. And then I'm going to swing my white yarn around and I'm going to crochet over it. Every couple of stitches you can give it like a nice little tug just to make sure it's tight and not like bunching up in there. So I'm just finishing up my second row of this white stripe, or my ribbon. And at the end, I'm going to do what I did before. So I'm stopping before I've finished this single crochet, but now with the white, I don't need this color anymore, so I can go ahead and trim it. And then I'll just pull my blue over. And I didn't even trim this, so there'll just be like a little streak of it running here, but I'll yarn over and pull it through. And then I'll keep crocheting with this color. I've got 4 more rows left of it. I don't have enough of it to finish that, so I'm going to stop and get a different color. So this back of it will look a little bit weird, but you know, you gotta just roll with what you got. So I actually lucked out. I found some of this same color of yarn. I had created like a swatch with it, so I just undid the swatch. You could see it's very wiggly. But I'm just going to join this second strand. So if you had enough yarn, which I hope that you do, you don't need to trim your yarn. You can just like yarn over for this color change and finish up. I am going to trim my yarn, and then I'm going to add a new strand in the same color because I didn't plan well enough for this tutorial. But now I will yarn over, and I'll just do the next row with this blue. And again, I'm going to do 4 rows of this, just like on the other side. So I'm finishing up row 2 of 4 for this side of the blue. I'm going to pull through that extra strand, like just to weave it in a teeny bit. And now I will chain 1 and turn, and now I can crochet over it. Just a little bit, and I'll just kind of leave it here in the middle. Since this is an odd numbered row, this is like the wrong side of my project. So if I just leave the end floating around there, it'll end up on the middle of the work like with the stuffing when I'm done. So we can just kind of forget about it in there. All right. I'm about to start my last row for this side. So there will be 10 rows total, 4 blue, 2 white, and then another 4 blue. So when you're done, trim your yarn, leaving a tail that's maybe like 6 inches long. And we are going to do what I like to call just like lazy end weaving. So you do not need to do an exceptional job of this because our work is going to be sewn together. So the entire inside you won't even see. So there's no need to like worry about making it beautiful. We do want our ends to be secure. But if they're just tucked away inside of our work, we won't really need to worry very much about if they're gonna like be safe. You know, there's not gonna be any kids like that are able to tug on them. They're not gonna encounter like wear and tear. So it's really no big deal. So on the wrong side of your work, which is the side where there's kind of like 2 lonely rows, one at the bottom and one at the top, you can just weave your ends over to that side and then just like leave them there. Or even if you leave them on the edges, it's not a big deal. We'll just be sewing over them when we crochet the like border of our project. So here is another end that we can lazy weave. Again, I'm just bringing everything to like the wrong side of the work and just leaving it there. Okay. If you want, you could totally tie knots or something in this. I'm not super concerned about it, but you do you. On the other side, I'm going to weave in the ends a little bit towards the wrong side too. So your right side will have groups of 2 rows. Since we have 10 rows in our project, we should have 5 sections on the right side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're separated by these like little divots or valleys. On the wrong side, there's more sections. So there's like a section here and a section here. There's one running through the white part. There's another one here, and it's just not as evenly put together, which is not a big deal, but that's just the side that we want to be on the inside. So that's kind of like the ugly side. So we want to hide it. And while we're hiding it, we can hide our ends too. And like I said, you don't have to weave them to the middle of the inside. You could also crochet over them when you do your border. So whatever you prefer is totally fine. So now I'm going to put my wrong sides together. And I'm going to join my ribbon color to the center of this white ribbon strip. So to do that, I'll make a slip knot, tighten it up a little bit, and then I'm going to insert my crochet hook into the middle of this top part, like into the middle of the ribbon, like this. I'll put the slip knot onto it and tighten it up. Whoop, it fell off. I'll tighten it. And then I'm going to pull it all the way through. And now I'll chain one. And I'm going to start single crocheting across this. So I'm just putting one single crochet in each row and each stitch. So on the skinny edges, you should have 10-ish single crochets across. And then on the longer edges, you should have 12-ish single crochets. It'll end up being a little bit different because once we get to the corner, we're going to crochet 3 into it. But just kind of know our goal so that you can follow along as you're making your border. So I'm on the corner now, and I'm crocheting 3. So 1 stitch in each stitch and 1 stitch in each row, and then 3 in all the corners. So doing this border, it's the same idea for both the square ornament and the rectangle ornament. It's just that they're slightly different shapes. So you'll end up with like a little bit more or less single crochets on each side. But the general SC border concept is the same. Alright, here I am in a corner again. And again, I'm going to crochet 3. So 1, 2, 3. It's a little bit hard to jam my hook in here because I woven my ends here a little bit. Oh. So here I am at a corner again. 1, 2, 3 single crochets in that corner. So once I get really close to the end of my border, like most of the way around, I'm gonna insert my stuffing. I don't want to do it too early or it'll be hard to finish. But if I wait too long, then I won't have a good angle to like push it in further. Although technically you could use like a chopstick or maybe even the end of your crochet hook to kind of help yourself like jam it in further. So right now I'm going to pull out this loop a little bit further just so I don't lose it while I'm stuffing. And then I'm going to get my stuffing. You don't need a ton. Like honestly, you probably need less than you think that you do. But just put it into and we're just super lightly stuffing this. Like we don't want it to be fat. Just a little bit puffy. Hopefully that makes sense. You can use your finger or again like a chopstick or something kind of skinny to poke around the stuffing, distribute it the way that you want. You don't want a ton again, just like a little bit. So, all right, I'm feeling pretty good about how much stuffing I have. So, I'm going to put my hook back in. And finish up the border. So I'm at a corner again, so I've already got one. Here's two, and here's three. Now I've just got like 3 or 4 more stitches left. All right. Now I'm going to chain 20, and this is how I will create the little hanging loop. And then trim a piece of yarn that's maybe like 6 inches long. Pull your hook out, insert your tapestry needle, so now that my tapestry needle is in, I'm going to do kind of like an invisible join to get it locked in. So I'm inserting my hook through 2 loops of the next stitch. And then I want to go up into my loop a little bit just so I can secure it. And then just kind of like weave it down and around to the back. It's not really the same as an invisible join, but that's like the most similar real crocheting thing. So now I'm just going to weave my ends into the back a little bit to make sure it's all tight and secure, because this hook is how it's going to hang off of your Christmas tree or your present, like whatever you're going to put your pretty present ornament on. So we want to make sure that the loop is super secure. And then once you've woven it through a couple times, you can just literally like put it right into the back of your project. And we can jam it in to just keep it there. So it can live on the inside. I'm just using my tapestry needle to do this. You could use your finger or like the butt of your crochet hook. I'm now about to just give up and trim it and then jam just that last little piece in. And then I can kind of like squish it around, and that'll help hide it and also kind of redistribute some of my filling, like my stuffing. All right, so in order to crochet the bow, you'll start with a slip knot and we're going to chain 50. So this is a pretty long chain. All right, so I have 50. If you have a couple more or a couple less change, it is not a huge deal. So don't even worry about like going back and recounting unless you really feel like you are like drastically off. But it totally doesn't matter. This is just for the bow. So now I'm going to single crochet all the way across. So I'll single crochet into the second chain from my hook. So 1, 2, and I'm going to do the back bumps just to give it a cleaner look. But this will give me 49 single crochets. If your chain is a little bit longer or a little bit shorter, again, it's not a huge deal. You'll just end up with one less single crochet than you had chained. So if you chained 52 accidentally, you would have 51 single crochets. So just put one single crochet in every chain across. So this will just give you like a long, skinny strip. So I'm approaching the end. I've got maybe like 10-ish single crochets left. When you finish, you will just weave in your ends so that this is just a long, skinny strip. So there's my last one. I will trim my yarn, pull through my hook, whoop, and then insert my tapestry needle. And it's a little bit weird to weave into such a skinny, like just one row thing. So just do the best that you can. If you're using white like me, I feel like you'll find that it's especially hard. You really just need like the perfect lighting. But all right, there's my first one woven in. I'm just gonna trim it. And now I'll weave in my other end. So one of these is from my starting tail, and one of them is from my like finishing tail, I guess. And this tapestry needle does not have an eye that is big enough for yarn, it seems like. Okay. This is just a random one I found on my desk. Because I'm constantly losing the ones that I like. But alright, same deal, just kind of weaving in as best I can given the circumstances. And then trim it. All right. So now you have this long, skinny thing. I'm going to get a different colored background real fast, just so that it will be a little bit easier to see, since I know white can be a challenge. All right, so I've pulled out this little wooden cutting board thing to just add a little bit of contrast to help you see how to put the bow together. The first thing you're going to do is get a piece of yarn. That's maybe like 18 to 24-ish inches long. No need to measure super closely. This one I think I got is a little bit too long. But I will insert my tapestry needle just so I'm ready when my bow is made. So I have this thing, and I'm going to kind of fold it in half and then fold it to make like kind of an M shape. And then I want the sides to all kind of like cross over so it looks like a bow. So we're not really tying it like a real bow, but if we have our M, then we sort of rotate it a little a little bit. Just so it looks more like a bow. And you can kind of like readjust it in your hands if you feel like there's anything that you're not loving about it. You know, you can make the loops longer or shorter, so I feel like I want mine to be a little bit bigger. But definitely similar sized to each other. If you find that anything is like going a weird direction, you can kind of twist it to fix it. But once you're happy with your bow shape, you'll take your tapestry needle and you'll just jam it through the middle, making sure you get all of the layers. And we don't want to pull it through super far because we need a lot of extra because we're going to wrap around our bow. But so I'm just going to go all the way through the middle like a couple times to secure it. Again, making sure you get through every layer that's there. So there should be like 3 layers. 1 layer from each bow side, and then kind of this middle, like, I don't know, crossbar thing. So get through those just to make it super secure. And then you can pull out your needle You can wrap this around a little bit. We're going to cover it with the other piece of yarn. So no worries on that front. You don't have to worry about like weaving it in or anything like that. All right, so now with your other end, you're going to wrap your yarn around your bow like 10-ish times, 10 to 15, depending on, you can go a little bit further if you feel like you need more or if your yarn tail is just really long. I am not counting at all right now, so I don't know how many times that was. But we do want to save a little bit of extra because we will use it to attach our bow to our present. So insert your yarn needle again. You can pick whatever side you want to be the front or the back. It doesn't really matter. They should look pretty much the same, but just like decide which one you feel like is cuter, I guess. I'm going to say this side is my front. I don't have a reason for that. But you can weave your yarn through a little bit on the back side just to make it secure. But like I said, it doesn't really matter. All right. So the very last step is to sew on the bow. So I've got my tapestry needle in there already. I left it there from before. I'm going to put my bow over this like white stripe for the ribbon. And I'm just going to sew it on. This will cover the base of my hanging hook loop thing. So if there are any issues with that, you don't have to worry about them because they'll be covered up. And since you'll be weaving all over this area, again, you'll be able to make sure it's like super tight. And then again, I can just weave it right into the center of my project, my little ornament, and just poke the leftovers back in there. I could kind of like fix my bow a little bit and just readjust everything. And then I'm good to go. So thank you so much for watching the Pretty Present Ornament tutorial. There's a square tutorial too if you want to make a different shape of this. The square one I showed you at the beginning, but it looks just like this. So it's pretty similar. But that is all. So please make sure that you subscribe to the You Should Craft channel and check out the You Should Craft blog for more tutorials and free crochet patterns. But thanks for watching.